I think it is revealed that there is some elasticity in the party on its ability to debate the immigration issue. Certainly, there are hardliners on immigration who have supported Donald Trump. He himself has been a hardliner, but he has also said repeatedly, publicly, that he wants immigration reform, that he wants to do something for the Dreamers. He has also talked about the need for people to come in to the country to do certain kinds of things. And then you have these other new supporters of Donald Trump who understand that if you're just recruiting like the top 0.1% of the best and most talented, say engineers from around the world, that's probably a good thing. I think where there's great alignment is on the need to eliminate the fraud in the program. And I think some of these visa programs are being used to bring people in for no other reason than to displace American workers and to do things more cheaply. So I think the common ground and the way forward is bring in the people who are the goats, of engineering from around the world. Bring those people here and then focus on American workers, American students for everything else. And that would be a good blend of how I think this is going to move forward.
That might be the case, but Laura Loomer is saying don't bring Indians into America. I mean, she's pretty clear about what she's doing.
I don't know if she's watched many Bollywood movies, but not only are they very good, but they're actually a lot more modest than Hollywood films. So that comment was a little bit off base, but I think what we're calling the tech right versus the MAGA right is really a long-standing split in the Republican Party between libertarians and conservatives. The Republican Party has been holding together those two groups for a long time, and they agree on about 70–80% of stuff. This is a thing they've always disagreed on. Libertarians value economic growth and efficiency and free markets above all else. Conservatives go halfway there, but at the end of the day, will side with protecting American workers from foreign competition. So, you have to give credit to Donald Trump for holding those two coalitions together throughout the entire campaign so that this fissure didn't actually come to light until after they won. And now you're seeing it come to light.
So where did the significant contingent of ethno-nationalists fall within the conservatism and libertarianism frame? I mean, to me, that doesn't necessarily fit within either of those two. And I think it is a significant thing within the MAGA coalition. But it also, this debate reveals something broader. You've got, I think, a very incoherent MAGA coalition for years now, where you've got business elites driving the policy discussion, setting the policy agenda, as working class people are oftentimes getting screwed. I mean, the top priority for this incoming administration is going to be tax cuts for the wealthy. And we now see this conversation about immigration not even taking shape the way that white working class people thought it would.
So if I may ask a question, Madison, so you think working class people have been screwed by the immigration policy of the last 4 years where people are coming into the country and displacing American workers?
No, so I don't agree with the framing of that, actually.
Well, I'm just asking because you said it. And how they're being screwed.
No, I didn't. I said white working class people are being screwed by the Republican Party, whose top priority is tax cuts for billionaires and for billion-dollar corporations.
But you would agree that the flood of immigration has also screwed working class people.
Opposing minimum wage increases, opposing universal child care, and efforts to expand health care.
We're talking about immigration.
But hang on, if I may, Scott and Mondaire, I mean, I actually think we're veering way off course here because the thing that Donald Trump apparently ran on predominantly is stopping the flow of illegal immigration into the country. When we talk about H-1B visas, we're talking about 85,000 a year of legal immigrants, okay? Legal immigrants. So there are plenty of Republicans right now who are waging an internal war within their party, not about illegal immigration, not about millions of illegal immigrants, but about fewer than 100,000 legal immigrants a year. I mean, I think that is what is catching people off guard who have, I guess, more recently joined the MAGA coalition.
Right, and I think President Trump has been very supportive of legal immigrants. I mean, his wife's a legal immigrant. He's expressed this sentiment many, many times. You look at Elon Musk being a great example of someone who came here on an H-1B visa himself. And so I think this is very important that we continue to have the H-1B visas. We want to be competitive in the global economy. But the reality is, and President Trump has also talked about this on many occasions, we don't want to see people coming here being educated in our institutions, being that top 0.01% that Elon Musk or that Scott mentions earlier in engineering or in other fields, and being sent to work for Chinese companies or being sent to work for these other companies. And so we want to make sure that we can continue to have those people coming here, working here, and helping us grow, which helps American workers. But at the same time, we've seen a lot of issues with the visas. We've seen these workers exploited and American workers hurt in this process. And so I think there's a lot of things and a lot of questions that are coming up in this debate that are legitimate questions. And so I think on both sides, there is a lot of positive coming out of this. And I think it's something that needs to be hashed out, not just by Republicans, but by people across the country.
I think it's obviously, it's a good debate, but I do question this idea that when we're talking about the scale of this particular immigrant visa program, whether you're actually really talking about something that, you were talking about harm to American workers, that is happening on a scale that is far greater than the H-1B program.
Yeah.
I think you have to acknowledge
Oh,
that.
no, absolutely. I mean, we like the percentage of people in the country right now that are foreign born is the highest it's been in over a century. That's not a H-1B visa problem. That's a southern border problem. So that's if not 99%, at least 90% of the immigration problem we're talking about. Trump, if you recall, actually, when Trump went on the All In podcast, which is the most popular podcast on the tech right.
By a lot of immigrants on that podcast.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Right.
Mostly immigrants
Mostly
on that podcast.
immigrants, yeah.
Successful tech entrepreneur immigrants. They asked him right at the beginning of the podcast, this H-1B thing, are you for that? And Trump said, you know what, I think that is a good idea. I think we need to bring those people. But after that podcast, he had to walk those comments back. But he was able to manage that during the campaign. But now that they've won, this is a deep fissure within the party.
Richie Torres wrote this. The far-right backlash against Indian immigrants confirms what we in the Democratic Party have long known, that the far right is implacably hostile to all forms of non-European immigrants, regardless of legal status. It's not about status, it's about race. The far right prefers purity over prosperity.
That's totally false. And I think on any of these visa programs, what any Republican ought to be looking for here is, are they being abused? You mentioned the number of people coming in on H-1Bs. I'm pretty sure not all of them were coming here under the auspices of the program as we would want it, meaning are we using it in other visa programs to get the absolute best and brightest engineers? That's the occupation that keeps being thrown out. So to me, the way forward for Trump is very simple. I want to eliminate the fraud in any of our visa programming. I want to absolutely control the southern border, because I think Coleman is right. That's where the major problem is. We can walk and chew gum at the same time here. If we're recruiting top talent from around the world and eliminating all of the illegal immigration at the southern border, my suspicion is everybody would be quite happy with this after the next couple of years.
Not everybody. I think that's the point, Scott. I think you're continuing to ignore that there are plenty of people who are saying pretty clearly they don't want immigrants to come to this country, whether they are legal or not. I'm not making that up.
Well, we're going to have, look, I hate to disappoint it. We're going to have some legal immigration. Trump has said we're going to have some legal immigration, and he's the commander in chief, and that's what we're going to do.